Recording. Excellent. So, welcome everybody to this webinar. We're going to try and be as quick and as direct, but also as helpful as possible. I appreciate you guys for taking out the time, for investing in your ministries. God will bless and reward that. Just so you know, if it's okay with everybody, I am recording this just so that I can send it out to you guys once it's over, and also to the other pastors who couldn't make it. It's also the first of a couple of resources that I plan to put out over the course of the next few weeks to help us thrive in virtual ministry. So a brief background. Actually, let's maybe it'd be a good idea to pray real quick before we carry on any further. So let's just do that real quick. Father, we ask your presence in this room.
Thank you. We
We ask
bless
for
you.
your power in this room, for your wisdom and your insight. But we
Hallelujah.
pray that you would be the teacher, that you would be the one, Lord, who directs all that we do.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
Let your kingdom come, let your will be done in the earth. And I pray for every ministry in Jabula, every ministry represented in this right now, and even those who aren't here. In these trying times, help us to know the spirits are casting down. Let our song be that there is a lifting up.
Amen.
Bless you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So I'm going to ask you guys, if you don't mind, real quick, to put yourself on mute for now. I'll ask you to take yourselves off mute in a little while when we start to discuss. But in this section, if you don't mind putting yourself on mute, that way the recording is made clearly without the background noise. So a brief background.
Bless you, Pastor. I just
Yes,
wanted
sir.
to check. I just wanted to check how long is this presentation?
I put on the group that I anticipate overall we should spend roughly 90 minutes. That includes both the presentation and time to interact afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, if it needs to go on, if anybody needs to stay on longer to ask any questions, I have the next 3 hours marked out in case I need to interact with people. But I would say roughly 90 minutes initially.
Is it okay? I'm good. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
That's fine. But if anybody needs to leave early, that's fine as well. Like I said, I'm recording this so that I can put it out to everybody once we're done.
Okay.
Can we have some visual as well, sir?
Pardon?
We have some visual. I can't see you.
You can't see me?
No.
Okay. Let me see. Like I was saying, a brief summary of how this all came about. First of all, I have a background. Some of you know, people like Reverend Vassell will know this, and Pastor Carver, that I have a background in media. I used to run a company that delivered or supplied churches with sound and audiovisual equipment. In a previous life before ministry, I was a sound engineer and a media technician at the church I grew up in. So I have quite an extensive background in ministry-based technology. Also, a few years ago, the Lord gave me an instruction, which at the time sounded very crazy, but now in hindsight, I'm glad I listened. He told me I was living in a bubble as a minister. I remember there was a year for about 2 years, I didn't go into my city center at all. I went home church, visitation. I never went to the bank or the groceries or whatever. People would do that for me. And when I went for the first time in almost 2 years, I would realize that the world I was living in had changed. And so God told me to start to interact more with the world outside the four walls of the church. And so I went online. I developed what the kids call a burner account, which is an account on all the social media platforms that doesn't say reverend or pastor. It just presents me as a normal human being. And I began to interact with the world out there. And I came to the conclusion that the church as we knew it was in trouble. I came to the conclusion that the model in which we were running the church would not last in its current state. I actually said at the end of last year that I didn't believe the current version of the church would last this decade. And here we are, the first quarter of the first year of the decade, and it's already under attack. Also, in that period of time that I began to try to integrate with the world beyond the four corners of the church online, my first aha moment was, there's this basketball game that I used to play every December just to relax for 2 weeks at the end of the year. We'll just take some time out in Liverpool to chill. and I'd play this online game. And then once the year started, I'd put it away for the rest of the year. And so this particular year, I decided to join something in the game called a group or a team, which meant rather than just playing with it online, you own your own team. You can buy, sell players. I'm sure the men among us know something similar to a football manager. But there was a functionality that said team, in which you could connect with other people around the world to play the game together, to build a team together. And so I joined a team where the oldest person was in their 50s, the youngest person was about 21. And that year, rather than stopping playing the game in December, I played it all the way to June. And my wife kept laughing at me and saying, "You're too old for this." I said, "Well, there's older people than me there. You're supposed to be a minister." I said, "Yeah, but it's a few hours a day just to relax." And I found out that I couldn't put the game down for the next few months, when after usually 2 weeks, I would have been bored, simply because there was something about interacting virtually with the members of my team. And I remember one day in the morning, I said to my wife, "This is a church." I said, "I feel like I'm part of an ecclesia. They're not saved, they're not Christian, we're not talking about anything spiritual, just playing the game." But we were interacting online, we got to know each other online. We spoke about family, children, work, in my case, ministry. I got to counsel a couple of people when they eventually found that I was a pastor. I got to advise a young guy who was about to make a serious, horrible life decision. And when I stopped playing that game in June that year, something inside me went off and I said, this has to be the future of the body of Christ. I felt more in a church playing that game than I had been in some of the physical churches I had attended. Because our normal church activities are, we come to a venue, we have activities together, we pay an offering, we go home, we come back next week. This generation, and I don't just mean the kids, even the older people, now live in a world where everything is connected. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram. And if you look at the apps or the technology that has survived the last decade, it's not just what they do in terms of on the tin, it's the connectivity, the capacity to bring people together, to allow them to interact and interject and do life together in a virtual space. And so the Lord began to speak to me and say, the church has to get on this train. Now, people were saying to me, well, you know, most churches have an online stream. Most of the big churches have an online streaming service. What I want us to talk about today and over the next few weeks is not just streaming your service online. Now, streaming your service online is a big part of it, but there is more to virtual ministry than just sticking a camera in your face so you can preach online. There has to be an intelligent, intentional effort to systematize the operations of your ministry to extend beyond a gathering. I want to repeat. You have to take the time to intentionally and systematically structure your ministry such that your gatherings are the overflow of that ministry and not the centerpiece of it. I'm going to repeat that one more time. How do you structure your ministry to deliver on its vision, to deliver on its purpose, to deliver on the biblical standard for church or ministry? The question God asked me was, if I stopped you from meeting on a Sunday for the rest of your ministry, could it fulfill its vision? And so we furiously, about a year and a half ago, in our house, we furiously began to start to reorganize our ministry to function that way. The week before Corona hit, I was in church on a Sunday, and I was telling my people, I said, I feel led to cancel church on Sunday for a month to force us to start to practice these principles. We had no idea what was coming next week. Now, they say, Pastor, we can't, no. So they talked me out of it. But when the news about the corona started to hit, and then when the government made the rules, it did. I got phone calls from everybody in our church saying, this is what we've been talking about. This is what we've been talking about. Oh, it's finally here. It's finally here. And so I'm probably one of the few pastors in the city of London or the UK who, beyond the suffering and the pain corona is causing, I'm actually excited about the ministerial opportunities because my ministry is now more engaged. My people are now more passionate. They're now more excited because They're finally seeing the practical application of some simple things that we can all apply to reposition them for that. And it's not just the young people. We've got people in our church who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And we got one lady in her 70s. And they're all actively engaged and excited because over the last few months, we began to teach them some things that I'm going to share with you on how to take the church outside the physical building. So before we carry on, any questions on that so far? You can take yourself off mute if you have anything to ask or add to that real quick before I carry on. So I make sure we're all engaged. Okay, so in the absence of any questions, I'm going to carry on. So first of all, we're talking about thriving in virtual ministry. So we need to revisit what ministry is. Ministry is not a service on a Sunday. The service on the Sunday is a part of ministry. If your ministry or any church right now that is suffering extremely because of these government regulations, I think God is doing us a favor to show us that our ministerial system already needed tweaking. And this is an opportunity to start to rearrange your ministerial approach to go beyond the gathering. There's a gentleman called Nelson Searcy. You might want to look into him. He has a couple of stuff online. A lot of his stuff he charges for. Most of it you don't need to pay for. I'm going to be giving you versions of it for free over the next few weeks. But you can look into it in case you're interested. But he came up about a decade ago with something called the 8 systems of church. And his resource is free online. And I think it's a very good place to start from. And so I'm going to give you the 8 real quick. In fact, let me share my screen with you so you can see them here. One quick second. Let me share my screen. Right, so share screen. Okay, so if you can see my screen, let me know. So can this, if you could take yourself off mute, let me know if you can see this article on my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So this is an article written by someone else that summarizes his work. I've chosen this one because it puts it in very simple language. And so he proposes that we have 8 systems for a church. The first system is the weekend service system. I just call that the gathering system. In essence, our services, Sunday, Friday, Wednesday, our conferences, our events, in essence, anything that involves people being brought into one space. If we could all take ourselves off mute now, please. And that's what the vast majority of us focus on, our weekend service system. If your church is unhealthily focused around just your service, let's remove the word weekend. So let's delete the word weekend, just your service system. You're gonna have issues, especially in this dispensation. It's supposed to be 1 of 8. And these are the other 7. Your evangelism system. In essence, how do you attract? Now, he defines evangelism on how you attract people to church. I know evangelism is how we lead people to Christ, but for the sake of this purpose, if we could all please put ourselves on mute, that would be wonderful. There's somebody's background who's noisy. So how do you bring people into your church? He calls this evangelism. Number 3 is, how do you assimilate people into your church? In essence, from them visiting, how do they start to see themselves as members? How do they got to a point where if you stop them on the road and they say, what's your church? They'll say, this is my church and this is my pastor, because they're not just showing up on a Sunday anymore. They now feel integrated. Then you have a small group system. I call this the discipleship system. In essence, how do you divide people into smaller groups? Please put yourself on mute if possible, everybody. There's some noise in the background and we're recording this, so please put yourself on mute. Please put yourself on mute, whoever's background that is. Thank you. And so how do you break, especially for there's somebody whose background is really noisy. I'm pleading with you for the sake of time, please put yourself on mute. Okay, I'm just going to go mute everybody here at my end so we can carry on. Who is not muted? Okay, so I think I know who it is. So give me a second. Right, so like I was saying, how do you break people down into groups in which they can interact with each other, grow, do life together, grow in God, be discipled outside just the gathering? Then there's the volunteer system, in essence. We call these workers in most Pentecostal churches. How do you mobilize people to serve in ministry? And this is just beyond just singing, ushering and things like that. How do you get people actively involved in the mission of the church? 6 is your stewardship system, in essence, how you make people into givers, people who financially support the ministry. 7 is your leadership system, how you develop leaders and prepare people for leadership and assign people into leadership and things of that nature. And 8 is your strategic system, how you plan, evaluate, strategize, and design your church intentionally so that you are not just reacting or doing church. You are actively pursuing a vision and measuring yourself against that vision. Now, like I said, most churches I've discovered that are struggling or were struggling with ministry even before Corona, you could tie it to the fact that the vast majority of us have been focusing, I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, have been focusing on one or 2 systems, maybe our Sunday service and our evangelism or something of that nature. What this is going to do, because the government has shut down our Sunday services, and for good reason too, is it gives us a great opportunity to work on the other 7, such that when the Sunday gatherings come back on, we now have strong, healthy churches where Sunday can be the overflow of what we're doing. But when I talk about virtual ministry, I need to stress this over and over again. I'm not trying to help us learn how to just stream our Sunday service. Because if all we do is figure out how to put a camera in front of our face and put our Sunday service online, then we've ended up no better than we were before. And so virtual ministry, what I mean by virtual ministry is how you take each of these 8 systems into the virtual world. So how you take your, one quick second, your stewardship system and your leadership system and your small group system and your worship system and your assimilation system, how you can digitalize each of them. So in our church, 24 hours after the government put out the announcement, in fact, 1 hour actually, 1 hour after the government put out the announcement, we sent out a letter to everybody saying, we're launching our virtual worship assembly, or in simple English, a virtual church. So we're not streaming our church's services. We've always been doing that. But now we are launching a virtual church where everything can work virtually. Small groups, giving, discipleship, counseling, all those things. And the good news is the technology is out there. There is nothing that you need to run a church virtually that doesn't already exist. There's no technology that needs to be developed that doesn't already exist. And the vast majority of it, especially for churches of our sizes, are free. So you don't need to pay a penny to start the process of running a virtual church. You just need to make a shift in your thinking. And when the government allows us start to gather again and the virus has subsided, all you then do is you keep your virtual structure alongside your physical structure, and it expands your reach. It means, for instance, Bishop French, you can have members in India who are full-fledged members of your church. They will give, they will be workers, you can counsel them, you can disciple them, you can engage them in evangelism, you can do everything but see them face to face. All you can't do is hug them and shake their hand. But everything else that you can do, or we should be doing as churches, including interacting with the community, including evangelism and leading people to Christ. All these things can be done virtually. And so I need to explain that when we say virtual ministry, we're not just talking about streaming your Sunday service. We're talking about retooling your entire ministry to thrive in a virtual space. And for those of us who do it quickly, we're in a better position to quote unquote compete. I don't mean competition in terms of carnal terms, but it means that if you are positioned to offer something that everybody else around you can't offer, you automatically jump to the front of the queue. And so what I'm going to focus on today are some of the basic principles of that. I'm working on some videos and some documents I'm going to send out to go into more detail. And if any church wants to reach out to discuss how we can tailor it to your specific needs and your specific ministry, we will do that as well. Jabula must come out of this position to thrive. As an apostolic house, as an apostolic ministry, we should be one of the lights that is leading the world in the evolution into this new age of reality and ministry. And the final thing to say here is, if we think that you stretch an elastic band and it will go back to its normal place, we're joking. So if you think that the church will just go back to normal when all this is over, I have a bridge in India to sell to you. The landscape of the world and ministry will never be the same after this. We may go back to some semblance of normalcy, but this has changed the game forever. And so the quicker we start to evolve with the change proactively, the better for all of us. But if you think that after a month of people sitting at home, they're going to be happy with just showing up in church on Sunday and nothing else anymore, especially when they've now been exposed to other people who are offering some of these other things, we're joking. But on the flip side, this levels the playing field. Now, it doesn't matter whether you had 1,000 people in your church before this or 10,000. We're all now on the same level. We all now have the privilege of starting again. And to those of us who felt we were behind the ball in ministry, God has given us now a playing field that's level in which we can compete. So having said that, let's move on real quick. Now, I want you to write down this word, system. S-Y-S-T-E-M, system. System. S-Y-S-T-E-M. It's an acronym, and again, I got this from Nelson Searcy about a decade ago. Anything that saves you stress, time, energy, and money. So S for saves, Y for you, S for stress, T for time, E for energy, M for money. So a system is anything that saves you stress, time, energy, and money. And we need to create systems now. Many apostolic and prophetic ministries are great on the anointing pouring systems. And we used to be like that until about 2 years ago in our house. A poor or non-existing system is like putting good water in a basket. No matter how anointed you are as a preacher, yes, the RedMe device is not muted and the feedback is static. So whoever has the RedMe device, please mute your device. That is true. We would appreciate that if you could do that for us. In fact, I am just going to mute it here from my end. So RedMe, let's see. Actually, I can't mute you, unfortunately. So please mute yourself. So surviving by virtual ministry requires systems. And one of the systems is technology. Cameras, streaming, online, things of that nature. That's one of the systems. It's not the only system. A system is a series of interconnected parts that works together in an orderly manner to deliver a defined end solution. So you need to go back and ask yourself, what are the different systems that we are going to use to deliver ministry? And then you begin to ask yourself, what can we do with technology to deliver these systems? So let's start with the most obvious one, the one that most of us came today to hear about. How we can make our online, Minister Jermaine, I think Pastor Drew says the RedMe might be yours or the second device. I'm not sure if that's right, but that's what she says. So please check it out for us, sir. And so the one we all are the most interested in, obviously, is our online or our worship service system. Now, if people can gather in a room, how do you make sure that they have a rallying point to come to for corporate worship? That's the most obvious one. And so let's start with that real quick. Now, like I said, all the technology is out there. And the beautiful thing is you can start where you are. You don't need thousands of pounds to get yourself up and running. In fact, if you are on this call right now, you can deliver an online worship service. If you connected to this webinar, one way or the other, you can deliver an online worship service. It means you already have the technology. Now, all you need to do is tweak it, be intentional about it, and ask yourself what works best for our people, and potentially give them all the options that they can have. Now, I'm going to talk you through what we've done for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm going to let you ask questions, and then we're going to begin to structure it for everybody else. But let me just take you through quickly what we've done. The first tool in your arsenal is WhatsApp. Let me repeat. The first tool in your arsenal is WhatsApp. If you don't use WhatsApp as a community tool for your church, unless you have something else you're paying for, because there's things similar to WhatsApp that are more sophisticated and you have to pay money for. If you have one of those, great. But if you don't have one of those, then WhatsApp is the free version. And there's two things on WhatsApp that you need to be doing. Number one, you want a group. A group is a tool that, like we have the Jabula Pastors group, for instance, that everybody just is a part of. Everybody can talk, everybody can post. That's for fellowship, that's for interaction, that's for banter, jokes, especially now that people are stuck at home, they need human contact. So you want a church WhatsApp group where every person that is a member of your church is added to. And I know we have some people who don't like being parts of groups, and that's why we need group rules. Most of the people who don't like being parts of WhatsApp groups is because people violate WhatsApp decorum. People just post anything. They just, a joke, you can open your group and you see 50 different messages in 1 hour. That's going to put people off. So you need some rules to say, this group is specifically for fellowship of the members of Restorer, or Place of Refuge, right? Or Shema. We don't want to know what God told you. Well, actually, we do want to know what God told you. But please don't be copying and pasting somebody else's Bible devotional. Don't be cracking unnecessary jokes. Don't just post things you find online. Keep it for interaction and for discipleship. I have discipled people in our churches in Kenya and in Nigeria via WhatsApp. You can do a Bible study by WhatsApp. You can have an online church service by WhatsApp. There's entrepreneurs who charge people to join a WhatsApp group to deliver a training strictly by WhatsApp. No video, no audio. Also no video. They're recording their voice 2 or 3 minutes at a time and putting it on WhatsApp or typing for people to respond. And they charge money for it. And so you want to have a WhatsApp group. That's like your church lobby on Sunday, where everybody can say, nice hat, nice shoes. How are your children doing? Oh, Lord, did you watch American Idol yesterday? That's the place where people banter and interact. Then you want a broadcast list. I was going to type this as we're going along. So let me start typing this as we're going along. You want a broadcast list as well. And the difference between a group and a broadcast list is this. A group, everybody has access to each other. In a broadcast list, only you as the administrator have access to everybody else. And so when you put something on the broadcast list, it shows up in people's WhatsApp chat lists as a direct message. So for instance, right now I'm working with my team to develop a broadcast list for the Jabula Pastors group. Because the problem with the group is important pieces of information can get lost. So if you put an announcement that says we're meeting at 7 p.m. tomorrow, you put it at 10 a.m. in the morning. By 10:30, if 4 people have cracked a joke and 5 people have put their devotion from the morning and 6 people have forwarded a video from Bishop Jakes on YouTube, by the time somebody opens their WhatsApp at 10:30, they won't have the time to scroll up to see your announcement or your discipleship material as the pastor. And so the broadcast list is for very important information. When you send it, it shows up. So many of you are on my ministry broadcast list. If you've ever gotten my YouTube videos or my leadership devotionals, it comes into your box as if I'm sending you a direct message. I'm not, right? Let me confess. I am not. I press one button. You can have, I can see Bishop French nodding his head. You can have 256 members per list. And so I have several lists because I've got over 1,000 people in my mailing list. But I press one button in each list and 256 different people get a message from me. You can delete it after you get it if you want. You can ignore it, but it's there. You can't reject it. Somebody lifted up their hands. Do you want to ask a question? Go ahead, ma'am, or whoever that is. I see your hand. You want to take yourself off mute and ask a question? Galaxy S8 Plus, if you want to ask a question, I can see your hand. Okay, I'll carry on till the person starts talking, but this is an example of what you can do with technology when we get to Zoom. Because somebody's actually just raised their hand in the meeting on my Zoom platform to say they want to ask a question, and this is something that you can actually use. But let's stick with WhatsApp for now. And so the broadcast lists are very important. So you want the group for people to interact. You want the broadcast list for you as the leader or the church office to get important information to people. Let me share my screen while I'm typing actually so you can see. Right, so you can see my screen, right, at the moment? Just let me know that you can see the screen.
Yeah, I can.
Excellent. So, where was I? Participants, there we go. So, like I was saying, WhatsApp is the first thing you want to have. Just ignore Zoom for a second. The second thing you want to have, which we all should have, is email. In the words of a very famous person who I can't remember, if you don't have email, you don't exist. Those are his words, not mine. He says, if you don't have email, then you don't exist. Now, while that's a bit of an overstretch, it's very, very, very important, because no matter how much technology evolves, email is not going to go out of fashion. And the beauty of email is, especially for people who are not of a certain age, is it's there, it's in your box, you can have access to it when you want. Some people get fed up of WhatsApp messages pinging back and forth, and that's why you need to set those group restrictions. And they're very important. If people keep violating your WhatsApp rules, when you set up the group, put the rules on there. If somebody violates them, remind them once or twice. If they violate it a third time, threaten them, you're going to have to kick them out. It's better to have one person who's not in the group than 15 people leave the group because one person is offending everybody else. So you're going to have to be tough as the leader. Now, with email, there's this amazing thing in email. One of them is called MailChimp. Now, with MailChimp, you connect your email, and I can show you guys how to set this up over the next few days. You connect your mailing list to an online-based software where you can design a newsletter, you can design a fancy post, something, not just a boring email, something with pictures and even a video, right? If you've ever gotten something from the likes of, I don't know, from one of these mega ministries, you might have even gotten a couple from us to invite you at Kingdom Culture to some of our events. That's all MailChimp. And so it turns boring email into something beautiful. It's like a newsletter. It is a newsletter. You can send out a newsletter by email. So for those of you who print programs for your services or pamphlets, you can do it via MailChimp. Again, people can get information. People can, see what's going on, and it looks professional. When I see that kind of email in my box, it tells me that my church is, my church is stepping up, and it's not difficult. It's free up until a certain level, and even beyond that level, it's not too expensive. So we're going to leave that alone. Now, the third thing you want to have access to are what I call social media platforms. Notice we haven't started talking about the service yet, streaming the service yet. Now, you want the 4 major social media platforms, and of these 4, you should be on at least 2. If you can be on all 4, great, but you should be on at least 2. The first is YouTube. Let me put this back on the stream, on the sharing. Right. So the first is YouTube. And every church should have a YouTube channel. Every Jabula church. And I'm going to do my best to help you get there. I'm going to call you. I'm going to get every single person's details. I'm going to look for you on YouTube. And if I don't find you on YouTube, I'm going to call you and say, why are you not on YouTube? And how can we get you onto YouTube? It is so important. So important. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. The second is Facebook. This is in order of importance. If all you do is YouTube and Facebook, you're good. The other 2 are a bonus. But if you're on YouTube and you're on Facebook, you're set. If you want to take it further, the third is Instagram. And the 4th is Twitter. These are the big 4. But you must be on YouTube and you must be on Facebook if you want to survive in this generation. Instagram and Twitter are extra. We can arrange some training for that, but for those of us who are starting from scratch, you don't really need them. They just are an extra string to your bow. Now, YouTube is pretty much like a free TV station for you as your church. YouTube has, that's why if you look at people like God TV and TBN, they're struggling because their revenues are going down. 10 years ago, to be famous in the world of ministry, you had to be on TBN or God TV. Now, the most cutting edge ministries on the planet don't even bother paying money there because you can bypass it straight into people's homes. You don't need a YouTube account. You can just type in a link and you can watch a YouTube video. Unlike Facebook, you don't need an account. You can stream live on YouTube. Many of us know about Facebook streaming. YouTube streaming is better for a few reasons. One, Facebook limits you to 720p. For the non-technical people, don't worry about this. It's the resolution of the video. In essence, YouTube's video is higher quality. It can be downloaded easily, unlike Facebook. And it literally arranges your content like a channel. So I am going to take you real quick to our YouTube channel at Kingdom Culture. Let me share my screen real quick while I'm doing this so you can see how I get there. Right, so share screen, okay. So if you click www.youtube.com/C/C Kingdom Culture TV. So you see that there, just with one link, and you click on that, it'll take you to our TV channel. And for all intents and purposes, it's a TV channel. Now, we started YouTube years ago. I'm ashamed to say that we let it lie fallow for about 5. We started about 9 years ago, and we just exploded all around the world. I had people contacting me from all around the world. For 5 years, we just ignored it. We didn't put out a single video for 5 years. YouTube changed its system, and then we fell to the bottom of the pack. In the last year, or so we're now trying to get going on there again. But you see, when you come here, there is a home screen where I can put whatever videos I want anybody to see. So this is from our last annual conference, the Kingdom Culture Summit. So these are the videos from it. So you come there, first of all, that's the first thing I want you to see. This is one that Bishop Smith preached at, and you click on it. And voila, it opens up. And it's like a TV channel. We uploaded this in December, on the 13th of December. It has had 1,259 views so far. People can like, people can comment, but also the more videos you put, you start to see that a lot of our other videos are also being, what's the word I'm looking for now? Also being recommended here. And so if I draw you to one video, I can suck you into 3 or 4 other ones. If I click on autoplay here, when this video is over, let me just take it near the end. When this video is over, it'll automatically move to the next video. You see that? And so people can end up binge watching your content. It's like a Netflix, for those of you who know what Netflix is like. And it's free. And if you are not using this, you need to ask yourself why. You can also live stream with it. So the exact same way, let me take this off now so I can see your faces again. The exact same way you go live on Facebook, you can go live on YouTube. And for people who subscribe, now let me take you behind the hood. This is what the whole world sees on YouTube. Let's go back to the channel page. So when you come there, this is the home page. You click on videos. It shows you our videos in the order in which we have released them. 1 second. I'm viewing this. Let me log out. I'm viewing this as an insider. Let me log out of our YouTube channel and just view this like a normal person would view it if they came on YouTube. So this is what it would look like. So you can see we have about 400 videos on YouTube over the last 10 years. Oh, actually, you can't see this. Let me go back to sharing. So this is what it looks like, right? And over the last 10 years, we have 400 different videos. And so if you're a member of our church or you're somebody who found us online and you're stuck at home for a month, you could literally spend the entire month just watching content from our church over the last 10 years. You will be shocked how many members of our church today tell us that they first found us online. There's people sitting down in our churches around the world, in the UK, Nigeria, and Kenya, who say, I first discovered you. Now, this is 10 years ago when I looked like somebody who needed some food before God enlarged my coast. But dating back 9 years, almost 400 videos here. Also, you don't need a video. Let me show you this, for instance. You can take your audio and put it on YouTube and just stick a video of a picture of your logo on it. So if you see this video right now, there's no actual clip from our church's service on it because we didn't have cameras at this point. We didn't have access to cameras. All you need to do is take the audio that you already have, design a backdrop for it, give it to somebody to edit, and then you can upload it. And so all your old content from years ago that you've been saving, your podcast lists and all those other things, now is the time to get them and stick them online. Of course, we have some with videos. Now, there's a neat trick. If you see this here, there is a podcast service called Podbean. If you pay, I think, is it £7 or £10 a month? If you upload your podcast on there and you click on an option, it'll automatically upload a YouTube video for you using your audio. So this here, we didn't have to do this ourselves. We just uploaded our audio into podbean.com. Now, we don't use Podbean anymore because we do it ourselves now. But at this time, this was about 2 years ago, when we first started trying to get back on YouTube, we didn't have the manpower. And so we just take the audio, record it on Sunday. We upload the podcast to podbean.com. Let me show you what podbean.com looks like. Our podcast is not here anymore, but this is it here. And it automatically throw it onto YouTube for you. Now, we are currently, let me, one second. We're currently using another, let me see, Kingdom Culture Movement Podcast, another provider for a podcast that doesn't do that automatically. But what it will do is, because podcasts are very important, whichever one you choose. If you choose one podcast provider, it will throw it onto all the other internet. So for instance, look at this here, Kingdom Culture Movement. See so you can come and see our last few services online here. And you can go back all the way as far as you want. Even on Apple iTunes, iTunes Kingdom Culture Movement, choosing Podbean will send your stuff. You can choose to send your stuff to Apple Podcasts as well, such that people can subscribe to your podcast on iTunes. And as you see, it'll just come through automatically. So there you go. The last one we uploaded was on the 15th of March. So I need to find out why my media guy hasn't uploaded last week's one. But you just go down, you know, and so let's actually add that here. So the next one obviously is podcasts. And that way people can stay in touch with you and what you're doing. Now, the fifth one is Zoom, which is what we're on right now. And many of us have conference lines that we use. Zoom and tools like Zoom are very important and very key, because beyond just giving you the ability to talk on the phone, they offer certain functionalities. First of all, we can all see our faces. If you're watching me on a laptop, you can actually I can actually see all your faces on my computer to my side here. So everybody who is using their camera to capture themselves, I can see you, Pastor Drew, I can see Bishop Charles, I can see Pastor Vassal and Elder Vassal, I can see Overseer Winston, I can see Pastor Tino, I can, and then the rest of you, even though your faces aren't showing, it tells me who you are. And so we can all interact. So I almost feel like we're in the same room, for those of you who are showing me your face. Also, I can't show you, actually, let me see if I can, let me use my phone to show you this. Can you see that? That's what my study looks like. Now, you don't need to have something similar to this. I set this up for slightly more task intensive whatevers. But here, if I can get that on the screen, there is a participant list. Can you see that? So it tells me who's online. If I want, I can kick you out. I can mute you. We can chat. Let me give you an example. Let me find Bishop French. I'm going to send you a personal message on Zoom privately. Right? Let's see if we can capture that. Hello, sir. Can we see that? Have you got it, Bishop? Take yourself off mute. Okay, good. You take yourself off mute so people can hear you say you got it, sir?
Yes, I've got that.
Excellent. So only Bishop Charles can see that message. because I sent it to him privately. So if we wanted to gossip, right, about Reverend Vassal, God forbid, we could. Good to see you, ma'am. But I can also send a message to everybody, right? So I can send a message that goes out to everybody. Let me do that right now. Let's see, everyone. And so I'm going to say hello to everyone. Well, I misspelled my hello, right? But we all got it. And so we can interact while we're doing that. Also, like I just showed you, using Zoom, I can show you my screen. I can share my screen with you. Let me show you this as well. And I can pick what I want to share for my screen. Actually, this is the beautiful, let me show you this. So I'm going to change my camera on Zoom from my front-facing camera on this phone to my back-facing camera. And so now I can actually see what I'm showing you on my phone, right? And if you look at that here, I can choose which app on my computer I want to share. I can share my WhatsApp app with you. I can share my Google Chrome with you. Or because I have multiple screens here, if I only had one screen, it would just give me the option of sharing my entire screen. So whatever I put on my screen will show. I have multiple screens here, so I can pick which one I want to show. So if I show you this one, for instance, that's this screen here. I can then change the screen I want to show and show you another screen on my same computer that's open right now. And that's the one we've been typing on. Does that make sense? Or I can just choose to say, I want to share only my PowerPoint. So you see that there. So I'm going to say only my PowerPoint app. That means whatever else I'm doing on my computer at this point in time, even if I change to another app that's open, it will only show me my PowerPoint. One quick second, someone just sent me a message. Okay, bless you, sir. Bless you, Apostle. Apostle Devon just sent me a message saying, bless me, and I got it while I'm talking to you. And so I can interact, as you can see, I can interact in real time. Let me move that camera back now. I can interact in real time with you while I'm doing this. This is very useful for your meetings with your team. So we've been having leadership meetings in our church every other day on average since the government banned the meetings. And we can collaborate, we can share. Now, one of the beautiful things about something like Zoom is, can you see how you can use this for your Bible believers class, or your newcomers class, or your baptismal class, or your workers training class? So everything you would have done with your projector in the church building at 7 a.m. in the morning, you can do this in their homes. I'm also recording this, so when we're done, it will have a record of the entire meeting, and I can send it to people who didn't show up. I can upload it to YouTube. Oh, let's go back to YouTube real quick. The beautiful thing about YouTube as well is, let me see, share screen 2. So the beautiful thing about YouTube is, when you upload a video or you're streaming a video, whether it's live or it's something you just upload afterwards, let me go back to our churches, whatever. You can choose whether or not you want the video to be private, unlisted, or public. If it's public, you can see this here, everybody. Just let me know that you can see this. If it's public, it means the whole world can see the video. So if you go to YouTube, you see these videos because they're all public, right? Now, there are some private videos here. Let me show you this. So this is from our live ones. Like you can see, this video here is private. Nobody else other than somebody who has access to our account can see it. This one here is unlisted, meaning I need to send you the link to see it. If I send you the link, you can see it. Nobody who doesn't have the link can see it. But private means nobody else other than anybody who's logged into the YouTube account can see it. And so you can upload videos on your YouTube and send them. Some of them are for everybody to see. Some are just for your members. Some are just for your leaders. And then some are just to keep a record of. The beautiful thing about YouTube is, and you should love this, is if you get above 10,000 subscribers, which we broke through 1,000. We broke through 1,000 last year in December. But if you get above 1,000 subscribers and you have had 4,000 hours of people watching your videos in the last year, you get to monetize your videos. And so it means that you get money for people watching your videos based on the adverts they interact with. I know churches churches I know who I work with who there's 10 people in the church. The pastor's entire outreach is on YouTube. And you probably see many of them on YouTube. You think, wow, this is an amazing man of God. There's only 10 people in his church. His entire offering system comes online. And part of this are the people who watch his video on YouTube. You can pay people to help you publicize your videos. That's for a different level. But the priority is getting stuff for people to be able to engage with. Let me pause for a second there and ask if we have questions. So if you want to take yourself off mute, because I know we've been talking for an hour. Any questions so far?
I just want to say thank you, Pastor Israel. Some of these stuff we've already have, but is trying to find individual who will help to create and do some of these things. And I'm really excited because things I wanted to do for the last so many years, this is what you're actually saying now. So we know we're in the right direction. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bless you, sir.
Can I ask what Zoom package have you got?
Right. I have the cheapest paid one. The free package does everything. But if you have more than 2 people in the meeting, meaning you as the host and one other person, it'll kick you off after 40 minutes. And so after 40 minutes, it will end the meeting. Everybody has to log back in again. If you don't mind that, great. If it's a short meeting, great. If it's just for you and your leaders, great. But if you're trying to reach out to people outside your church and then after 40 minutes, it goes off, they're going to look at you and say, these people aren't very savvy. So the next package is £11 a month. And it allows you up onto 100. Pastor Winston, you were saying something? You want to take yourself off mute?
Plus VAT.
Plus VAT, yes, sorry. Yes, plus VAT. Plus VAT, that's true. So so for about $12.50 a month, I think it's a great investment for the functionality that I've just shown you. For us, Zoom is primarily for, going back to those 8 systems we spoke about. Let's go back to those 8 systems and let's see how we can use technology we've spoken about so far for all 8 real quick. So let's go back and look at those 8 again. So weekend service system, right? I've just shown you how you can stream your service on YouTube. Many of you already know how you can stream your service on Facebook. Evangelism, you can invite people. You can have YouTube adverts. You can pay for Facebook adverts. You can get your people to send out. Actually, let me show you this. Good point. Let me show you this. So let me show you our Facebook while we're talking about that. Because I focus a lot on YouTube. I haven't gone so much into Facebook. Now on Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is a genius, an evil one, but a genius nonetheless. And he's designed a system that the American government is now trying to censor because they realize it has become addictive to most people's ways of life. It is almost, the average person now finds it difficult to exist without connection to Facebook on some way or the other. For me, Facebook is simply a marketing platform. Does that make sense? I don't use it socially. except to keep in touch with people who are part of my life. It's purely a marketing platform, and it's brilliant, and it's free. So let me show you. First of all, there is your private profile where you can have up to 3,000 friends or 5,000 friends. I reached my limit, so I'm now removing people who I don't interact with because I want to keep this for people who I do have some interaction with. So here I can obviously, you can post stuff on your wall. You can put your wise sayings, scripture, things God is saying to you, and you can encourage your people to actually subscribe or follow to your Facebook feed. As you can see here, I'm followed by 361 people. Those are mainly people from our ministry or connected to our ministry around the world. So every time I put something on Facebook, they will get a notification. So this is my online pulpit, for lack of a better word. Secondly, and like I said, you can put if we could just take ourselves off mute for a quick second. Also, I can advertise. So every Wednesday, everybody please unmute. Every Wednesday, for those of you who don't know about it, shameless plug, I do a lunchtime time of prayer, Bible study, and impartation for people in the marketplace. If we could put ourselves on mute, that would be great, please. And I just have to put the flyer on Facebook. And everybody who's my friend on Facebook, it'll show up in their feed. And those who follow me, it'll give them a notification to say, Pastor Israel's about to go on, or has posted something, come and take a look at it. So it's free advertising. This is what the feeds look like. So as you can see, our video from yesterday's online service has shown up in my feed because my wife put it on her wall. Our Nottingham church has its own Facebook account. So it's saying, hey, everybody, we're online, show up. You can pay for a Facebook advert if you want, and they actually work quite well if you know how to tailor them. For £5, you can get your message to about 4,000 or 5,000 people, and maybe have about 500 of them click on it. But as you can see, this is a member of our church. Her name is Sister Patsy, and she is telling us that somebody in her workplace appreciated her. But it's showing up in my Facebook feed. My wife has interacted with it. This is another member of our ministry, or actually somebody who used to be a part of our ministry. They now lead their own ministry. But their post celebrating somebody else's birthday is in my, and so it's free advertisement. This is somebody's service. Look at this. This is somebody's church service that showed up. It's going on now live. Look at this. See, although their phone needs to be, they need to turn their phone or rotate their phone. But this is going on live now. And Facebook has informed me, and I can come in and I can interact with it. Does that make sense? Now, we have a church profile page. The difference between a page and a normal, see, somebody's gone live. Look at this. Facebook is telling me that this pastor is live now. And it interrupted my meeting with you on my screen. If this was somebody who I subscribe to, if this was my pastor or my church, because that is a pastor, I could just click on this and boom, we're in the meeting. Can you see this? So this somebody who's teaching about something live in real time now, and it's just interrupted our webinar. Now, there are pages which are for organizations or public people. This is actually a website. You don't need a website if you have this. The website would be nice, but this is our church's website. Home. This is where you see what's going on. So just like my personal page, for instance, we're telling our people that on the 1st of August, our women have a meeting. We haven't fixed the venue yet, just the city, but it's there already. It was posted yesterday. It's like a notice board. See, somebody else is live. That's a friend of mine. She's live as well. Every live video we stream is here as well. So this was from the 15th of March. My wife preached at our Nottingham church. The quality wasn't the best at that, but there we are. So that's our service. right? So that's the woman of God there preaching up a storm. It's all on that page. There's an about section. Once it loads. So it tells you our church's venue, our Facebook website link. We really should edit that. That phone number is not there. It will help you find your way to our church if you want it on Google Maps, right? It gives you a summary of our vision, our mission, our contact address, our team members here. So I'm there because I'm the pastor, but we should actually add the rest of the people here as well. You know, it's like an about page on the website. Photos. So every photo we upload, you can come and find it here. And it will arrange it into albums. So you can go through all the pictures that we've uploaded on Facebook in recent times. There you go. Flyers, adverts, pictures from our services. You know, it's all there in one place, right? And you go back as far back as you need to. People can leave a review. So get your church members to put a review about your church, right? Events. We can create an event. So for instance, our last event was on the 14th of March. We created an event on Facebook. People signed up and said they wanted to come. We could send reminders to them. It tells you about the venue of where our event is, you know, things of that nature. But you can actually come to our page and find out current or future events that are going on. Videos, every time we go live, similar, thank you, Pastor Tino. Pastor Tino's just liked our page. Thank you so much, Pastor Tino. But this see, so you could get people to like your page. That's simple. And then now, if we're doing something, because she's liked our page, if I want to reach her with a post, and we don't abuse this because if you keep sending out things all the time, people get a bit frustrated if it's not relevant to them. But now I can send a message to everybody who's liked our page. But all our Facebook lives are now put here, similar to YouTube in order. The beauty of YouTube is it reaches more people and you can monetize it. But here it is on Facebook as well. And so I can go back to the 22nd of December, our Christmas service. If I'm bored at home and I can't go to church and I have some hours, I can watch my church's Christmas service on Facebook. So you see, 213 people watched, 213 people engaged with it. 101 people watched it for long enough for it to be significant. And if you log in behind the scenes, if you have people who are savvy, you can actually use some of the statistics it gives you to see who you're reaching. Again, I can go back to the 20th of December for a women's meeting and I can watch it. Notes. For you guys, pastors who write blogs or journals, you can come here and do your blog here. So I'll give you an example, new note, add note. I'm going to call this how pastors can, or how churches, I actually probably should write this note and put it out there. How churches can survive in the post-COVID-19 world, right? Actually, that should be the title. So I put that there as a title, right? And I write this out, I publish it, right? It will tell people what I've just done. See, if we go back to our church, to the kingdom, I've got to go delete that real quick. But one, it's there as a note, so your people can come here and read what Pastor wrote recently. But if you go to our homepage, it will automatically put it there. The pastor's just written a note. Can you see that there? And so I'm going to delete that real quick before people come and say this man is losing his marbles, because let's see, how do I delete that? Delete. So I'm going to get that off. But the same way it would show your picture. And so many of us are using Facebook to put pictures of our dogs and our cats, when it is, you can actually use it to offer services.
Well,
you know, so showcase your services, add a service. Somebody, please put yourself on mute. Now, let's change this to services. So we have an orphanage in Kenya. Kenya Orphanage Support, right? So I'm going to allow people put a variable price here so they can give what they want to give. I'm going to say, please support our orphanage in Kisii. Actually, put that. Please support our orphanage. How do you spell orphanage? Orphanage in Kisii, Kenya, where we are responsible for 30, I think we're 34 now, 34 children, and provide, my computer's misbehaving, and provide food, shelter, clothes, education, and medical care, right? I can put an orphanage, I can put an, what you call it now, I can put, there's no duration here. I put a picture of that here. Does that make sense? So let me just put a picture, for instance. I know this is not the picture of the orphanage. I'll delete this in a second. But I put a picture of that there. This is a picture of one of our events. If I press save, now that shows there as a, you can see that there. So you can click on it and give to our orphanage that way. Now, what I don't know yet is this will show up on the homepage. I don't think the services will show up on the homepage. They don't. Okay, good. So I don't need to, but let me still go delete it anyway. Delete. And of course, you got the shop where you can sell your books, your CDs, your DVDs. We haven't done that yet. We're planning to do that over the next few weeks. You know, you can actually let people buy it in there, or you can send people to another website. So if you have a book on Amazon, for instance, as a pastor, you can publicize the book here and then send people to Amazon, you know, to go get the book. And then finally on Facebook, the one that I really want to show is the groups. We have a group for each of our churches. We have a group for our intercessors. We call them prayer culture. We have a group for our leadership training. And so let's come to leadership training, for instance. We're currently on hiatus. We start again in April. But I was running our leadership training on Facebook. So only the people in the group could actually see what we were broadcasting. Someone needs to put themselves on mute. But these are all leadership training sessions. And then I put this video from our conference, but I was trying to say, rather than today's session, I spoke about this in last year's conference. You know, go watch that. You know, so people can watch on it. They can comment on it. They can, listen, this is a leadership training session here. This is another one here. And so I can take a group of people from our church or our ministry, separate and apart from everybody else, like you can do on WhatsApp, and engage them in a manner in which only them can see what's going on. I should add this for WhatsApp as well. We have a WhatsApp group for each of our departments in church, ushers, choir, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. That's all good. And so you can see why like I said, you don't need money to be up and running. Now, there is a free service called Restream. Write this down. Restream. Where for free, you can stream to multiple platforms at the same time. So with one camera or one mobile phone, I'm coming to the phones as I end in a few minutes. I'm going to stop talking like I promised at 2:30, and then I can open up for questions, and we may need to do a part 2 if necessary. So I can add a certain number of channels here. I can add from Periscope, YouTube, Twitch. Now, of course, some of these are more millennial friendly services. You don't really need all of them. Like I told you, the main 4 that you need. If you want to stream to your church's official page, you need to pay. You need to pay. However, there's a trick around it. I just stream to my personal profile, right? And then for my personal profile, you can share the video. So let me give you an example. So last night I was streaming. This is our church. So we had church last night, right? And we had church. Look at this. So we had 173 people at one point or the other tune in at one point or the other. People were interacting here. A trick is, as you can see, this lady here she's my PA. She's also a moderator. And so she helped us to get the conversation going. But then other people started engaging. And while this is going on, all I have to do is press share, and I can share it to our church's page. So I've tricked or gotten around the need, not tricked, I've gotten around the need to pay. And so that man, I don't know why that guy there's shouting and screaming, but he seems to think God is saying something. If you then come to our church's, the official church page, you will see that the service was also streamed there because what's them coming out? Yeah, there it is, because we shared it. So see, there it is. Does that make sense? And so for free, you can go to both Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter and Periscope are the same thing, and Twitter at the same time with one system, and you can do it directly from your phone. This will work on your phone. Finally, I've got 4 minutes to go. The elephant in the room. Some of you are saying, well, this is all well and good, but I'm sure you have this amazing equipment that we don't have. The answer is yes and no. This at our church yesterday was shot using a camera that you can buy secondhand for £150, right? I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind taking yourself off mute for a second, I want to interact with you on this. So this is a £150 camera. Do we think it's decent?
It depends on the make and the model. What is it?
For now, just knowing that it was £150, you can buy this for £150 online. Does that look semi decent to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now let me show you what I did with my phone, and tell me which you think is better. So bear in mind that was a £150 camera. This is my mobile phone. Which do you think has better quality?
The phone.
My phone.
The camera.
The reason why I couldn't use, okay, well, if you say camera, I disagree, but if you say camera, okay. The reason why, and this is the front of my phone, not the back. Because I'm alone in my study, right? I don't have the, so that's the camera in the background. Do you see that camera there? That's the
What
camera
type
that we
of
use
a phone is it, Pastor O?
Coming to that in a second. I'm coming to that. That's very smart of you. I'm coming to that in a second.
Show me.
I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you in a second. Now, this is my phone's selfie camera. If I could have turned the phone around, the quality would have been 10 times better. And this is also stock in 720p. My phone can go up to 4K. And I'm saying that just to let you know that you are all walking around with TV stations in your pockets. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You are walking around with a television station in your pocket. There is no point paying 40, 50, 60 pounds a month. Many pastors have phones. If I took a survey of most of you, I'm sure your phone, your contract would be somewhere in the region of between 40 and 70 pounds a month, right? Come on, talk to me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not paying, for instance, on three is my provider, a SIM-only contract without a phone. Unlimited calls, unlimited text, unlimited internet, and unlimited tethering is £22 a month. Think about that. If you go on Three's website right now and get a phone with unlimited everything, or get a contract, sorry, for 24 months with unlimited everything without a phone, it's £22 a month. The extra you're paying, and if you went down on the data from unlimited data to 4 gigabytes of data, it would cost you £9 a month or £10 a month. The extra you're paying is for your phone. And you're not paying that amount of money to call and text. If you're paying to call and text, go and buy a £30 phone from the corner shop. My corner shop sells let me show you. I have one of them. Just so you know, I have 4 phones. Let me show you all of them real quick. And they all fulfill a purpose. Right, so can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You can buy that for £30. All it does is call and text, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if all you're doing with your phone is calling and texting, buy a SIM card for £22 a month that gives you unlimited. In fact, if all you're doing is calling and texting, you don't need the internet. Buy a SIM card for £9 a month, unlimited calls, unlimited text. Buy one of these and save your money. If you're getting one of these ones, let me see. Let me get them out now. So I have 4 or 3 smartphones for this exact reason. First of all, I have 3 lines. Our ministry operates in 4 countries, so I need 3 phone lines. But this is an iPhone 8. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you the kind of video that an iPhone 8 can produce. So let me go to, let me see, share. Now, I have a personal YouTube channel, which is different from our church's channel, because I do some things ministerially beyond our church. And that's something we can talk about in the future, how you may need to distinguish between yourself and your ministry for some things. But so this is my channel. Please feel free to subscribe. I only have 170 subscribers. I'm just coming up. Let me find this. So videos. Where are we? What did I shoot with this? So this is the iPhone 8. Is that decent?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's an iPhone 8. You can buy one for £200 on eBay, used, or 150 in some cases if you don't mind a phone that's a bit battered, but the screen works fine. That's it there, right? I have this one. Let me stop sharing. This here is stop sharing. This here is something called a Huawei Honor 8X. This is where for £220. Brand new, £220, right? It has a full HD display. It has a full HD camera. Basically, it will do everything that anything else will do. It's not as great as my other two phones, but let me show you what the footage that phone produced. So let me see, which did I produce with this phone? I know, this one here. So this is the front camera, not the back camera. This is the selfie camera, right? From that cheap phone I just showed you. Is that decent?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Just my phone. Now, I recently bought a camera that I can make phone calls on, because I do a lot of media intensive work, not just for ministry, but for business. And I don't have it here, but if you, for those of you who are at the Jabula Pastors Summit, you saw me with 2 flight cases, right?
Yeah.
Walking around. I got fed up of traveling around with all that, and I replaced all that equipment with one device. And this is the kind of footage that that device can produce, right? Now, this is my best phone, and it's very, 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 very high quality. You can buy this phone brand new for £1,150. I got it on an upgrade from my contract provider, right? And now, how much am I paying? I think the deal I got then was, I got the first 6 months at half price, and then after that I have to pay £77 a month. But I'm also getting unlimited everything, unlimited phone calls, unlimited text, unlimited internet, and unlimited tethering. So my phone is actually my modem. There are months where I use 200 gigabytes on my phone. Now, you don't have to spend that amount of money is what I'm trying to say.
What phone is that, please?
It's a Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra.
Oh, I'm an Apple man.
Okay, well, the Apple iPhone 11 Pro Max is very similar in quality.
Uh-huh.
And also very similar in price.
We've got the XR.
Well, the XR is more than fine. I'm just saying, if you're the kind of person who wants the best of the best and you can afford it. Now, you don't need these unless you are a professional, because what you're paying for is a 108 megapixel camera. I can use my phone like a camera. I can adjust the settings, the lighting, and all these different kinds of things. In essence, my camera, I forgot my camera at the church. I left it in my office yesterday. But you guys saw that big camera I was moving around with at the Jabula thing?
Yeah.
This phone is better than that camera. Its quality is better. And with that camera, I need to connect the camera to my laptop to stream online. I can stream directly from this phone to YouTube, to Facebook, to Periscope, and I can do it simultaneously through the service I just showed you, Restream. Now, depending on, when I speak to you guys personally, depending on your budget and on your level of operation, I will recommend a phone for you, or I will find out what phone you already have, and I would tell you categorically, for many of you, you'll be shocked to know your current phone will do the job just fine. So I've just shown you 3 different levels. An iPhone 8, an Honor, the iPhone is an iPhone 8 in the middle. The Honor is the cheapest of the phones. The iPhone 8 and the camera I can make phone calls on. But online, when you're streaming, no one is going to notice too much of a difference if you have a decent phone. it's for people like me who are professionals who can see the differences and we complain. But to the average person, as long as they can see the picture, it's clear, the quality is good, the sound connection is good. And oh yes, I forgot to add, let me show you what's going on in my room right now, in my study. You will need to invest in some lighting. Can you see that there? So you see those two there?
Yes.
You can get, so you need to invest in stuff like that. Forgive, my place is upside down because I'm currently retooling it. So you see that's my keyboard, my study. I've got five laptops, 5 screens, 2 laptops and everything because it's a studio. So right now my study is a TV studio where both recording and production is going on live at the same time. But you see this video that you're watching, let me go back and share this video now for you. That video I showed you, this one here?
Yes.
All I did was put on my phone, connect, you see that thing there, that earpiece there is it's a Bluetooth headset. I connected my Bluetooth headset to my phone, and that's all that's going on there. The lights are shining, you can't see them in the background. I'm speaking into my Bluetooth headset, which costs 20 pounds. It's transmitting directly to my phone that's in front of me somewhere, and the phone is streaming live to the internet. That's it. And in the background, I'm watching myself. Can you see that? I'm actually watching myself to interact with people so I can text and chat with them while that's going on Facebook. And the music in the background I'm praying to, I'm getting from YouTube. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to stop now for questions. We'll pick this up if you guys are interested in a follow-up session to go into more detail in some of these things. But let me end by reminding you, because I don't want you to forget, this has not been, it's not been a video or webinar on streaming. It's been a webinar on virtual ministry. How do you take each of these 8 systems into the virtual space? So things like prayer, worship, discipleship, counseling. For instance, you can counsel via Zoom. People don't need to come and see you in your office. I counsel members of our church in Nigeria via Zoom. Are you listening?
Yes.
Yeah.
They go to the church building in Nigeria if they don't have access to technology, right? They go to my office in Nigeria. They sit down in my office. Somebody in the office sets up a phone in front of them, and I counsel them. I have meetings with my pastors in Kenya the same way. Assimilation, we'll look at all this later, but how you can have new believers classes, baptismal classes. Now we're doing our cell groups by Zoom. So nobody has to come out of their house we call them life groups. You know, you can give online. Oh, I forgot to mention, I need to mention real quick. You can give online. Now, the simplest way to do that, let me just show you this real quick, is, so I had a pastor who found us online, right? Who I have been supporting, in fact, quite a few of them actually. Let me, 1 second. A few of them over the last 10 years that I have been mentoring / supporting ministerial online. They all run their own ministries. I just have a WhatsApp group and facilities where I work with them and I provide them support, mentorship, counsel, stuff of that nature. So you can see that here. And so we're doing what I just showed you. Now, this is for pastors running their own ministry. This is what the Jabula Pastors Group really should be if we all agree to make it that. And you come here, you see videos, things of that nature. But one of them, actually, no, it's not this group. It's not this group. So while people are watching your service, let them know how to give. Also, if you are connecting with your people outside, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If you're connecting with your people outside church, it's not just about Sunday service. Your giving shouldn't go down because the building is not open, at least not significantly. 70% of our church's income doesn't come from Sunday service. It comes from people giving online to our bank transfer details or via Facebook, via PayPal or things of that nature. So even before Corona, every week, 70% of our money comes in, not in the envelope in the service. We tell people in the service, pick an empty envelope, even if you give online, take an empty envelope so we can stand and you can stand and we can pray the blessing over you. But we've been encouraging the vast majority of our people to give online. The benefits are huge. First of all, there's less money to bank. Secondly, so we have people who go on holiday for 3 weeks and still give their offering. Can you imagine that? To the glory of God, and I'm very humbled, I have members of my church who, even if I don't see them for 3 weeks in church, every week their offering comes in because they don't need to be in the building to do it. You can bank transfer, you can use PayPal for those outside the country. If you have more money to pay, you can set up things like Stripe or things like SumUp. We can talk about them later, but encourage your people to connect. And for those of us who don't have to, because we have to pay a monthly rent for our building, we lease our building. Even if we're not there, we're still paying for it. But if you hire out a building per hour, say thank you, Jesus, right? Take the money you're spending on that building currently and invest it in your online outreach. In a phone or camera, in online ads, in paying for a designer. Also, please, 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 now, I did this myself. This is my own homemade design. Let me go back and show it. Do you like it? Do you think this is nice? Come on, talk to me. This is my own, this is Pastor's homemade design. Okay. All right. Now, I don't advise you to do the same. Is my point. As nice as that looks, I have a retainer service with a designer for less money than you might imagine. Apostle Mackenzie, I think if you're on the line, you can let the people know. I've introduced Apostle Mackenzie to my designer as well. So he does most of Apostle Mackenzie's work. But I pay him a fixed amount a month, whether or not he designs for me. So he's on retainer, right? And he is absolutely amazing. I'm not saying it has to be mine, find yours. But in the virtual space, designs matter. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Now, I threw together the one I just showed you because he was busy that day and we needed to get that design done in about an hour. So I tapped into my past and I dusted off the cobwebs. But these things matter. Look at that.
Good.
I could never do that. And most of you can't. To the generation you're dealing with, visuals matter. The 20 pounds you're trying to save by using your PowerPoint is costing you 200 pounds in offerings from people who didn't come to the event or the service. Right? Look at all these. Now compare with mine. Now after doing mine, now this is look at this. Now after doing mine, because we needed to use mine that day, I sent it to him and I said, please design one for me. He immediately found a fault with my design. See, he says, why the highlights, sir? So I've sent this homemade version to him. He's going to do me a professional one and send it back to me. And I'm hoping to get it today. Can you see the drop in quality side by side? This is me as well, homemade. Let's get back to his work. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So put aside a budget to invest in this kind of stuff. It is worth the money. take my word for it. It will pay back for itself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. I really wish you will listen to me on this. It's called penny wise, pound foolish, I believe, right? In ministry, if you're in for a penny, you should be in for a pound. Now, if you want me to connect you to this guy, let me know. Although I'm a bit selfish, I don't know if I want everybody connecting to him because now he's too busy for me. There used to be a time when if I sent him a job at 10 a.m., I'd get my job back at 10:30.
Yeah,
but now God has blessed him, including with some of the connections I've made to him, and he's now hiring. So some of these things in recent times, he's now had to hire staff to help keep up with the work, which is good. He does all my book designs. If you can see that, let me see. So he does my book designs and everything. And I actually have a backup designer. He's just my main one. But there's times where if I need something done immediately, I have a backup guy who's not as good, but is still very good. If you don't want my guy, go to fiverr.com. Let me type that out for you. Fiverr.com, right? You can find people for cheap, $5, $10, $15 who will do things like designs. They will even help you set up your YouTube channel, edit a video. Just be careful. Not everybody there is worth your money, but there's some really good people that you can find for free. I am going to pause it there for today. I think we've gone on too long. Thank you for your time. I'm open for questions, please.
I really haven't got no questions at the moment, but I'm just thankful for this and appreciate your time and your effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Very,
you.
very fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Next steps, before you guys run away, next steps, this is what I'm going to do. Give me one more minute and I'll dismiss us. There is a document that I designed about 7 years ago. It's 290 pages. It's called The Church. I've used it to teach in School of Ministries and seminaries. If we could just put ourselves back on mute for a second, everybody. It breaks down what ministry is beyond the cultural constructs we've created, like church services. It goes line upon line. People have used it to develop seminary curriculums. Everybody, I'm not saying this to get your applause, but I'm just letting you know it's the quality of it has been used by schools of ministry and schools of theology to develop part of their curriculum. But I wrote it 7 years ago. It's over 200 PowerPoint slides. But it deconstructs what the church should be on a basic level. I stand by it with my ministerial integrity. I'm going to give it to you for free because you're in Jabula. I usually charge £40 for it, for the pack. Because you're in Jabula, I'll give you the slides for free. I want you to go through it at your pace and ask yourself, forget what we've always done. If our church started today, because what Corona has done is we're all planting new churches. That's just the truth. All the way from Bishop Jakes, from Bishop Bismarck, down to the guy in the street corner, everybody's planting a new church, whether we like it or not. And so it gives us a great time to strip back the container back to the content and say, beyond what we were told. So many of us got into ministry, we're told this is how you do it. You rent a building, you buy equipment, you hire a keyboardist, and we're just following patterns without necessarily taking time to think about the underlying reason for the patterns. So go ask yourself, take your vision, your ministry's vision, vis-a-vis that book I'm about to send you or that manual, and ask yourself, how can we best fulfill this subjective vision and this objective concept of what church is, right? Without, in essence, everything should be on the table. No sacred cows. and redesign from scratch what your church should look like, how it should function and run, then ask the question, how can we do this virtually without seeing people face to face? Does that make sense? What you should come up with should be a blueprint. And you need, I didn't go through some of my notes from today. I just went off head, but you need to work as a team. Let me put this on share. You need to work as a team, right? Let me put this in bold. You cannot do it on your own as a senior pastor. Get your team of leaders. They don't have to be technical. The technical stuff is very simple. It's the easiest piece. I can teach you how to do it. You know, as long as you're under 120, you can do it. But the idea is the intentionality. How do we reimagine what the body of Christ should be and what our ministry should be with our vision, as if we're starting from scratch? And then how do we do it online? And see this as a blessing, because doing it virtually has expanded your parish catchment area. You can have members in Australia, you can have members in Taiwan. People no longer have to complain and say, Pastor, I couldn't come to church because I didn't have transport money, or church is too far, or church is too long. This is a beautiful opportunity to build from the ground up. And then when the government gives us the go ahead, you just slide your physical meeting back as part of the package, not as the whole thing. And so even now when you're doing your Sunday services, don't try and duplicate your entire Sunday service before just on camera. Remember now, because before we were doing a service in the building, we were just letting the whole world see what we were doing. Now we have to design it for people watching us online. And then when the people in the building come in, they can be part of the studio audience. So just see it that way. Even when people are allowed back in the building, see them as a studio audience, helping you broadcast to a much wider catchment area. So I will send you that document over the next hour or so. Once this recording processes, I will also put it up there so you guys can get a hold of it. If you want to reach out to me, let me put this on the screen real quick, how you can get a hold of me for this purpose. Like I said, these are services that I actually charge for, but because we're family in Jabula, as much as possible, I will do my best to make them free of charge. Now, I must confess, if you want me or my team to come in and pretty much redesign or consult from the ground up for your ministry, we might need to charge you a little bit, because I have running costs. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying I can come and hold your hand for free. If you want hand holding, if you want practical hands-on, if you want me to come out to you or put together a spec sheet for you or help you set up some things, there may need to be a charge for that. But for basic advice, basic guidance, running ideas of me, asking questions, sending pictures of what you're doing, things of that nature, I'm going to try and do one of this every 2 weeks for Jabula, if possible, if you guys think it's useful. All that I will do for free as my commitment to Jabula and also in my official role. So ministry support at my computer is just misbehaving today. Apostle Devin, I see you. I will send you the stuff. Ministry support at reformersalliance.org. If you send, so anything as regards church support, ministry, virtual ministry, even normal ministry. So we, I'm offering advice and counsel on, even when we go back to the building, we have packages or we have resources or advice we can give for ministry as a whole. Somebody's asked a question, so let me put this on here. Some of the other links I put out, Restream. This is the one where you can do multiple, let me see if I can find it here, where you can do multiple streams at the same time. So it is restream.io. Is there anything else anybody wants me to put up on the board that I mentioned? Either a link or an address or thing of that nature?
Yes, please. The one about the
Podbean.
About the what?
podcast.
Podcast. Okay. So podbean.com. Now, there may be others. This is the one I know that automatically will put your stuff on YouTube if you click the box. So there's a setting you have to go in and click. So that's podbean.com. Now, the one we use, because we don't need that facility any longer. Let me see if I can remember it now. Is it Heart this? I'll find that one and send it to you, because like I said, the one we use now is free, because we can actually do the YouTube ourselves. So you don't have to pay a word. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. I found it. So it's Heart this. Okay, get that there and put it up there. So that's it there. So this one is paid, but transfers to YouTube automatically. The other one transfers. The other one, actually, well, you don't need this. This is just for so you see, it'll give you your own domain, but we don't need the Kingdom Culture because you're going to go set yours up. So this is free. And once you plug it in, you can put an RSS feed to send it to iTunes and stuff of that nature. If you want help with that, I'll need to put you in touch with people who can do it for you. I wouldn't be able to have the time to do that, but I've got people who work with me who on their own, they run their own businesses. They can give you advice on how to sort that out. So that's free. Anything else that anybody wants to know real quick?
Yeah, thank you very much, Pastor Israel. This is clear, yeah. I just have a question.
Sir.
For example, if you wanted to set up something, let's say like what you have right now, what you used.
Yes, sir.
How much would you say on average someone will need to invest?
That's a difficult question, and I'll tell you why. When you say what I use, the question is, I've been gathering, okay, let's put it this way. My car was in an accident last year. My beloved Jaguar, my baby, was in an accident. Yeah, some of you remember that car, right? I love that car. It was like a spaceship. It was beautiful. I cried. Well, I didn't cry, but I cried internally. And when the insurance paid out, I invested all the money I got paid out into equipment.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about 15 grand.
Okay.
Now, the reason for that is we are converting our church building into a studio in which we happen to have church. So we're not just going for what many of you are going for. We are trying to set up pretty much a TV station, and we have service in it when people come as the audience. So if that's what you're trying to do, Pastor Jermaine, then anywhere between 10 and 15 grand. If all you want is to be able to have a good quality stream to your people or online, and to have the technology to pastor your people. Somebody needs to go back on mute. Yes, some of these pots and pans are going.
Yes, thank you.
So unless you want to share the food with us, you might want to put yourself on mute. So for the vast majority of us, right, all we need is good quality video and audio out on the social media channels. You can also, one of the beautiful things about YouTube is you can actually embed your YouTube video in your church's website. So at the same time as you are, what you call it now, you're streaming to YouTube, people can go to your website and watch it on the page. And then you want the technology to have meetings with your team members, pastor your people, counsel them and things of that nature. You don't need much. All you need is a decent quality phone. You need some decent quality wires, which all the wires you need, you can buy for £20, maximum 30. You may need to spend £12.50 a month on Zoom. You may need to maybe spend £19 on Restream if you insist on streaming directly to your church's official page and you don't want to use the method I've shown you where you can stream for free to your private page and link it there. So not much is the answer.
Yes.
For many of you, if you raid your current equipment that you use for church right now, you have everything you need.
Okay. No, thank you very much for that. It's Theo, by the way, not Pastor Jermaine.
Oh, sorry, Theo.
Yeah. All right. No, that's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right. Pastor Israel, thank you very much.
Pastor P, I love the haircut. You look amazing.
I've changed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bishop, go ahead, and then I'll go after you.
Okay. Pastor Israel, thank you very much for this presentation. I must say I'm very humbled and pleased to know the kind of resource that we have and that we didn't even know was so rich. You've got a good command of your area. You have invested a lot. Your passion around this thing has been resonating from this presentation, and I'm pleased that we've got such a resource at our disposal. So I really want to say thank you very much. You poured out, shared us, literally went into your armory and opened it up for us. And I'm very, pleased and grateful to God for you. I pray that God will bless your ministry, you and Doctor, that Amen. This will grow. For Amen, anyone who is sensitive to our current status and the trajectory of the church, this is the way that we should be going. It's very important that if you don't engage with this willingly, then this thing is going to force you, because the circumstances are going to detect that you literally churches will shut down if we're not going to move at this trajectory. So I really want to thank God that God has given you that vision and insight, and you have invested a lot into helping others to capture this vision. My suggestion will be, certainly there's need to be an investment. You've invested your time, your knowledge into that. That's intellectual property and intellectual wealth, which, it would be unfair for anyone just to tap on it for free, which, I understand you're in full-time ministry as well, and so on and so forth. I appreciate what you've done for us, because we are in covenant, and I am grateful for that. All what I'm going to ask is, we are all at different levels within our churches. So there are some people probably who have moved on. For example, for us, we have started this Zoom stuff. We've been doing some Facebook things. Everything has been patchy here and there. We do some stuff. It has been consistent and so on. So all of us here will need different tweaking. Others maybe will be starting from scratch and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to ask is, if you are able to do some packages, depending on where a person is in their ministry, from the basic setting up, or next level is if you have some form of presence in the social media or internet, this is what I can do for you. And then if you want the advanced stage where we teach you other sources of streaming and stuff like that. This is the package. And then people can be able to say, look, I'm gonna come in at this level, and probably this is what the remuneration will be, because obviously if we don't invest in anything, then at times the tendency is that people don't really value it. So if we can do that, then it can help each church to then begin to say, okay, fine, how can we engage in this? And this is more of a consultancy, if I can say, kind of aspect which you are setting up here. And us as Jabula will be, if you may say, obviously you are saying we are working with other churches and stuff like that. I'm not sure how big and vast that is, but really we can be a start point for your consultancy to say, look, you've got these churches that you've worked with, you've set them up, and then this can help your profile as well in terms of saying, look, now this is what you've done. These are the churches that you've assisted. We are writing reviews for you. And then this thing can grow where you're not only doing it yourself, you're employing other people, and this thing can really grow into something great, and would really love to be part of that success. Really, that's my thoughts, listening and looking at all this. I feel there's a greater work, there's a greater, chances and opportunities in this, and we must grab it with all hands and really move it forward. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you. And I will take that on board as long as it's the will of the people.
Yeah, Pastor Pardon here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Again, I will not repeat what Bishop Memory has already said. I think it was going to be along similar lines. But what I would want again to begin to look at is, you have come on the platform. I mean, it's like Esther. You've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. That's where some of these scripture references begin to make me, because sometimes we quote scripture and it doesn't have relevance. I'm looking at a situation where, as Jabula churches, can benefit from the gift and experience and professional ambit that you have brought in for such a time as this, so that as Jabula, this becomes one of the benefits that you get being part of Jabula. And how that is going to work for us, like what Bishop Memory was saying in terms of packaging the cost of it. Obviously, each church might have to put a cost to it. But if we are all giving towards, whether it's our tithing, it's our 1%, whatever that we give into Jabula, and there is enough funds in Jabula, this becomes a very good initiative where it becomes a benefit of you as a ministry being part of Jabula, how you can then have this kind of service and professional touch to your ministry becomes relevant. So it becomes something that becomes part and parcel of your licensing, part and parcel of your ministerial ethics and protocol. It becomes part and parcel of the entire package of benefits that you get from Jabula. While I was listening to your presentation, I was actually saying, do we have this guy on the right platforms in Jabula? Because I think this is the kind of platform that we would want you to be in, because it develops it. And I know other jurisdictions, for example, maybe the USA may already have something in place. But one thing that I've seen is that we have all individual ministries having their individual niche and things. So everything is a little bit different from each ministry to each. But what we want to do is to try and bring this into the corporate aspect of Jabula, such that it becomes part of the benefit of Jabula. That's how I'm looking at it. So that I think on our next board meeting, this is something that I'll be trying to cascade to say, look here, I think we may need to put a budget like what we do with missions and Ethiopia and so on, and say, look here, there is a budget that we need to put for media, and how can our churches benefit from that? Then it doesn't become a burden on New Life Covenant Church that is struggling, or Overseer Joyce Vassell that is also in Milton Keynes, or High Wycombe that is over there. But once this becomes something that they can tap into as a benefit without a burden, it makes part of being Jabula worth the while. It has got that benefit that we can tap into. And I'm saying, I think the moment and the time for us to cascade it, this is the excellent opportunity, which I think will be very, very poignant in terms of harnessing the experience and everything that you have exposed today to try and bring that. Obviously, maybe we may start with Jabula Europe and Asia as a means of trying to work it out on that aspect. But my view as Secretary General, I'm looking at cascading it from top going downwards and trying to see how best this can be literally a benefit, where a ministry that joins Jabula is told that we are going to help you be on this and these platforms without adding any costs to it, because it's already budgeted for. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, sir.
And it becomes part of a niche aspect of Jabula as a ministry in terms of that. But having said that, I think we may have to begin to work individually in terms of trying to see where we are as an individual ministry, and then begin to tap into what is already on the market, but also begin to look at the bigger picture of this whole issue. I was looking at the news, they were saying this coronavirus, the effect of it is going to last almost about 2 years. Literally. That means this social distancing is going to last us for another 2 years, if not more. So it means that literally what we are talking about, this thing is going to affect our ministry for the next 2 years. So if you are thinking that 12 weeks is going to be the moment we are going, this is a long haul. It's a long haul. So yeah, I think that package will be very, very interesting if you put out that package, put a costing to it, and then it becomes some of the benefits that can be got from Jabula. One of my concern is about standards and excellency in terms of, if you're going to go out into the public domain, it must present a very good high standard. I say high standards in terms of sound, in terms of presentation, outlook, and everything, because you don't want to go onto the public platform and your things are not in order, and you are having squeaky mics, you are having this and that, the background, you are having things upside down and things like that. It will not present a very good picture. And I would say for some of us, we need to stay on the Zoom platform for some time before we go YouTube. Yeah, because the competition is very stiff out there.
It is.
Why would one come and view your YouTube page when there's TD Jakes there who's doing, something different and of an excellent quality standard? So while least we are in quarantine, it is the time for us to begin to flex our muscles, begin to do up our venues, begin to look at how we're going to put this thing out and begin to work on it. I can see your videos there. You've got a nice backdrop there, and that's important. It may not have to be the audience. You don't have to show the audience. But the backdrop of that YouTube video must be something that when people look at it, they'll say, yeah, you know what, we don't see what is happening on the audience, but looking at that front, that looks like an excellent ministry. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So there's those nitty-gritties that we will need to work with in these 3 months of shutdown, that we begin to go onto our churches and begin to work on those and begin to bring out those things and make sure that everything is fine. I personally invested in an iPhone 11 Pro Max. And one of the reasons why I invested in this, I said I want good quality. I wanted good picture qualities. If you see my picture qualities, it's one of the things that I invested it on. But from what you are saying, this thing can do literally, that's all we need.
That's all you need.
Yes.
That is all you need.
With armed with such a tool, we now begin to want to see how we can work and tweak this, because now we are going onto the platform, public platform, and public platforms, there's competition there. You don't want majajai things. You don't want things that are out of excellence. You want everything to be speak and fine, your sound, your everything. I don't know if I missed about the worship aspect. You did mention that, but how do we do the worship in a platform on YouTube and so on? Some of our churches, we're still struggling with our praise and worship and so on and so forth. Are those things that need to be worked on to make sure that if you're going to be presenting a YouTube video, you don't want people to be singing like I don't know. Everything is good to perfection, standard and quality. Sometimes you may have to not do the worship and put it on YouTube, but put the preaching, because that will be at a good standard. So there are certain things that they've got to be put in place. If we're going to put and say this is a Jabula church on YouTube, the standard must be the same. Standardization and making sure that people have now come up to that standard and level of standard. I've seen some YouTube, I've seen Bishop Bismarck just sitting on a chair there and doing a 2 minutes exhortation, which might not need all those other kind of, heavy stuff, background and so on. But it can be something that other ministries can begin to look, so that you create a presence onto the platform and then begin to build it up from there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate. Thank you, Pastor P. That's very awesome thoughts and contributions. Just to respond quickly to what you and Bishop Memory said. Again, for me, it's about the will of the people. Now, part of my role as a chief operating officer, something that I've been working on the last few weeks, even though the role was announced last year, for all intents and purposes, I really pretty much started working a few weeks ago after some things were clarified and what's the word now? Communicated at the highest levels. And one of those things, Pastor P, like you said, is I'm trying to develop a framework for ministry for Jabula churches. Not something that's forced on you, just a framework to say, this is what ministry is. This is how you engage it. These are some of the things you need to be thinking about, whether it's technology, discipleship, evangelism, marketing, things of that nature. And so I'm actually putting those together as we speak. I'm going to be coming to you guys back over the next few weeks. Now, where the technology is concerned, especially with this situation we find ourselves in, I wanted to make it very clear that I'm not doing this as a funnel because I wanted anybody to contribute financially. I just thought out of the kindness of my heart, and this is just for Jabula. So I've not allowed any other body into this one. I'm going to do another one for some of the other churches that I work with, but I felt charity should begin at home. And so I didn't bring up anything about that because I just really want to help. However, I do have a team of people who work with me. And so if churches, either Jabula as a whole, like Pastor Pardon said, or individual churches, like Pastor Memory said, if churches say, please, would you want to come and outsource helping us get this thing on track and moving forward, I can click my fingers and go immediately, because I actually have people who work with me, but they work on a contract basis. So when I do my consulting for the ministries, I don't pay them a salary. That's what I'm saying. If anything that's going to involve more than just this kind of advice, I can't offer for free, because I'm going to need to be pulling on my staff, and they work with me on a contract basis. Now, you will get them far cheaper through me than you will get them if you went to them on your own. But I love what Pastor P said, because if this is the power of coagulation, Tesco can buy things a lot cheaper than you and I can individually because they're buying in bulk. That's how places like Costco and Macro work. So, Pastor P, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, sir. If you can, because you sit on the international board, you also sit on the continental board. If between you and Bishop Memory, if we can drive that, conflict of interest will prevent me from driving it, because I don't want it to look like I'm trying to, benefit myself. But if what you said today is true, and I believe it is, and you can drive it at that level, I'll be more than happy to step in and provide any level, down to if you want us to show up at your building with our corona masks and our gloves and help you practically set the thing up with our hands, we can do that. If you want us to design spec sheets, we can do that. If you want us to help you procure the equipment, we can do that. If you want us to help you sign up so whatever you need, right? And we've done it for churches who have installed £100,000 worth of equipment in their building. So what you see in our church is tied to our budget. We're actually able to do far higher quality than what we can do because of what we can afford. I don't know if that makes any sense. So the facility is there. If anybody wants to take advantage of it, please. And if Jabula can be moved to do it on a grand level, like Pastor Pardon suggested, I would be more than happy to facilitate that as well.
No, thank you for that. Like what I said, I think if we get a paper, a working document that you can document like what you've done for us today, first stage, I like the 8, you say the 8 what of ministry?
The 8 systems of ministry.
That's right. So you start us from there and you do a PowerPoint, very, very brief, and we look at all that and email to me. If you can do that for us, because we are going to have our executive meeting it's not this coming week, but the following week.
Okay.
Then I can get this to go on to the agenda.
Okay.
Of that, so that we can then have the executive board debate on it, and then we can take it up forward. So if you can do that as a paper for me, Mr. PowerPoint presentation, and then we can get to get into the agenda.
No problem, sir. I will work on that.
Brilliant.
I'm writing that down right now.
You've got my email, yeah?
I believe I do, but if I can't find it, I will call you.
I will text you my email.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Any further questions so we can dismiss people to go prepare for tomorrow?
I don't have any questions, but I just really want to thank you for that. And we're looking forward to being in touch with you and for you to help us with some instruction a bit further on. But thank you very much for that. That was pretty comprehensive. We're really grateful for that.
Bless you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Pastor Israel. This is Marlene speaking. I am sort of a techie person, and
okay.
This is sort of I don't want to be an alarmist, but I think this is a very important time, whether people feel prepared or not, to hit the ground running with the internet and to use it, because I need people to realize that people in your church right now are looking at you and thinking, I could go to Hillsong on Sunday and listen to their one person singing in their living room with their condenser mic, with their keyboard, with their, something very simple, and still get that good quality and still get the Holy Spirit moving, compared to then coming to your church where, things are not organized and stuff like that. So I believe that people are going to lose quite a few people during this entire period, because people have found that it's a microwave generation. We have to get over it. People are going to go to the most convenient, simplest thing. Let us not lose church people because we don't want to put in that effort. Half of us are sat at home. We could, if it's needing to improve singing, if it's needing to improve everything if it's needing to invest. Right now, people are not using their church buildings. That rent money could go to actually investing in some of this equipment that you've been talking about, if you know what I mean. I mean, it just makes sense. So I don't think we should, a lot of online businesses are using the Corona period right now to boost their businesses, even if it's getting people to sign up to stuff. I think we should use also this period to improve online presence. I've watched some of your online videos and I'm very impressed. Even this presentation, I'm super impressed. And I think we should not shy away from this, and we should use this to the best of our advantage and as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, it's about money, and it's really good. It's really good, and it's worth investing in. It's worth it.
Thank you. God bless you. And I want to echo what she said. I think I already said that already, but it bears repeating 3 times. The money you're saving on your venue right now, turn it, in essence, your venue is now virtual. So the money you spend on the community hall, spend it on your virtual venue now. And it doesn't need to cost much, like we've heard, So thank you very much for that. So I think I would take one more question, contribution, or whatever it is, so that we can all go. So who wants to sign us off? And if there's nobody, then we can call it a night. So let's pray. Alrighty, let's pray real quick before we go. 30 seconds. Father, thank you for this amazing time as leaders in your house to discuss, strategize, and prepare. Father, you said to me the week before this hit, you spoke to me from the book of Acts, and where Paul was on that boat about to be shipwrecked. And you said, or he said to the captain, no life shall be lost. We may need to throw the stuff overboard, but no life shall be lost. And that was your prophetic message to me, that as the church navigates these choppy waters, while our containers may be lost, if we partner with you, we won't lose any soul. We won't lose the human capital. And so, Father, like we prayed at the Jabula Intercessors Prayer 2 weeks ago, I pray for every pastoral team in Jabula, every pastor, from Pastor Pardon in Leicester all the way down to the Carters in Croydon and everybody in between. Give wisdom, give strategy, give direction, give grace, give skill. Let people, Lord, you said in the day of our power, our people would be willing. Let there be a willingness among the people in this moment. Where there is requirements, provide the resources, provide the opportunities. Let's come through this better than we went in. When others say there's a casting down, we declare there is a lifting up. So shall it be in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Bless you, everybody. Have an amazing time at service tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bless you. Bless you, Apostle.
Excellent.
Media.
Bless you, everyone. Bless you, everyone.
I bless you.
God bless you, everyone. God bless you, everyone. Have a wonderful service tomorrow. Bless you. Apostle signing out.